Hey all, here at OS Reviews. You're watching our hands-on review of another mini LED projector. It's by a company called POYANK, and what makes it a little bit more unique compared to other versions that we've checked out in the past is it has integrated Wi-Fi. It's not a smart projector in the sense that it doesn't have Android OS built in, so you're unable to, let's say, browse the web directly without connecting a computer or using Miracast to connect a smartphone. But it does have Wi-Fi, so you don't need to necessarily use HDMI to connect the device to the projector. It sells for about $80 to $100 depending on when it goes on sale. You can find it in the links down below. Otherwise, it's a pretty conventional LED LCD projector. It doesn't use Pico technology, so it's still going to be a little bit larger than a really pocket-sized unit. One slight downside is the resolution. The native res is only 480p, so it's not HD, but it does accept input sources up to full HD, so if you have a laptop plugged in, but it's only going to output that on the wall at 480p resolution. Otherwise, it also has stereo speakers, which is a little bit new. It has two 2-watt speakers, which should provide a little bit better audio quality than the typical mini projector that we've seen in the past. And otherwise, there are quite a few accessories that we get in the box, including what looks like a free mouse pad, kind of interesting way to advertise. And also you can scan the QR code here to learn more information about this company. And in here we have a separate compartment which includes a AC power cable, a free HDMI cable if you don't want to use the Wi-Fi for connecting a device wirelessly. There's also an adapter for RGB if you have an older DVD player. And finally, there's also a IR-based remote control that takes two AAA batteries. Taking a look at the design of the projector next, again, it is fairly portable. Here is a standard size smartphone on top with a 6-inch screen. You get a better idea of what the overall size is like. It's pretty easy to put into a backpack and take with you if you are traveling. There's also a keystone correction which changes the tilt if you want to point it up at the ceiling or somewhere where there's a slant. Up here we also have a 4-way navigation toggle, a mode selection key that also changes the input source if you don't want to use a remote. And there's also a power key on the side. There's a slight texture to the plastic. There's a little bit of a cube or prism-like shape that gives it a slightly more unique look, but the overall construction is made out of plastic. IR blaster on the back, on the side, micro SD card slot. So if you have a SD card loaded with MP4s or MP3s, it can read that and play it back directly. There's also a 3.5mm port if you want to plug in external speakers, HDMI, full-size USB for thumb drives, and a VGA port if you want to use an older computer. Here's what the interface of the projector looks like, and if I pause for a second, you can hear that this is the background noise of the fan. It's not too bad. It's about the same level as a desktop or a small laptop computer, and if you're in a completely silent room, you will hear it, but with a little bit of audio, it quickly fades into the background. So the interface is modified compared to the past LED projectors from Shenzhen that we've seen, most notably because we have this Wi-Fi display page that we can access to connect to devices using Miracast. And we can also navigate left to right to take a look at other functions such as connecting using AV, connecting using HDMI, accessing the media player if you have a thumb drive or SD card inserted directly, and connecting using VGAs. For instance, if I tap on media player, it will then go and sort into different categories such as movie, videos, and photos, and it says on the top right hand corner that we have a SD card already inserted. So if I play back a sample track on the SD card, it's going to play back immediately. Alright, so pausing that there, you can hear that there is indeed a built-in speaker that gets fairly loud, and we'll discuss the sound a little bit more after we do another video test in a moment. Aside from this main page, I can also access settings. There's a separate key that you can tap on to change things like the color temperature, aspect ratio, the fan noise, and also changing the volume of the built-in speaker. So you can adjust all of these properties page by page in the advanced settings. So let's go out of this and now just take a quick look at connecting wirelessly. So again, it's using Miracast, so I can tap on Wi-Fi display, and it's going to pop up in a second saying that this is what the name is like. You can scan the QR code to download the app using iOS. It's also compatible directly using Android, and the name of the Miracast is simply Lollipop 82F92B. So I've opened up the Miracast screen on my tablet here, and I can tap on this Lollipop 82F92B, and it's going to connect, and now we are mirroring everything. It's actually pretty fast in terms of latency. There's not too much of a problem, and the nice thing here is I can still remain connected to my home network while I'm mirroring content to this wireless projector, so it doesn't interfere with being able to still browse the web, access YouTube, things like that. And you can see that if I tap on a button here, such as going back home, you can see that it's pretty much instantaneous compared to what's happening on screen. So there's really not too much lag going on. It's even possible to play back a few games here and there. Of course, you still will have a few more drop frame rates compared to a direct connection using HDMI. It's going to be a little bit faster, but overall really not too bad, and I'm fairly pleased with the performance here. Now, taking a quick look at the color and the saturation levels of the display, I think that it looks fairly decent when it comes to having a good punchy, vibrant color for a low-cost unit. Obviously, there's a bit more pixelation, and if we zoom all the way in, we can definitely tell that there are individual pixels. Right now, we have a virtual screen size of about 150 inches diagonally across a regular white wall, and it's actually doing a pretty good job for viewing back quick images and videos, things like that. Larger text is still visible, but smaller text will be a little bit more challenging. So that's a quick demo. Let's first of all take a quick look at some photos, and I have a quick image here that I can load up, and you can tell that again, contrast looks to be quite decent on a low-cost unit like this. Going back, here is another image that is in color. Alright, so next let's go into the web browsing and just play a quick video sample along with audio to take a closer look at the sound. So again, it's wirelessly sending the sound as well to the projector speaker, so everything right now is connected without any wires at all.
This is only 4K. Beyond 4 times the resolution of 1920 by 1080. It will take you to another world.
And to conserve on power, what's interesting is that the tablet or whatever device that you're connected to actually turns off after a few seconds, so that it doesn't drain additional power since you're now watching it on a TV or a projector in this case. But I can still control things like volume even with the screen turned off. So that's a pretty nice feature of this Miracast that is actually working very well with both iOS and Android in our testing so far. So the takeaway is that the audio quality is okay. It's a little bit on the tinny side. It doesn't really pack a punch in terms of bass. It's not very rich sounding, but it does get very loud if you turn it all the way up. So for playing back a few clips or for playing back music, it more than suffices. But if you want the best quality, you should probably connect to an external speaker. And for web browsing, here is the New York Times being loaded up. Again, a lot of complex images as well as ads and smaller text. And you can tell that if I zoom in a little bit here, you can still make out characters. But again, there's a lot more of a blocky edge to many of the smaller text. But again, a little better than expected considering that we have a pretty large screen size right now and the native resolution isn't that high. But for the most part, it still works. So finally, I'm just going to take a quick look at maybe a very simple game just to show you what that experience is like. It automatically switches the screen orientation as well, and we can tap on play just to again show you if it's a smooth experience or not. And again, for the most part, it is mirroring the experience pretty well. So that's been our review of the POYANK Wi-Fi mini LED projector. Again, at $80, it's a rather inexpensive mini projector if you're trying to get something just for casual use, for watching a few YouTube videos here and there with friends and family, or for playing back a few games, things like that. But it's not for any serious, let's say, office work. It's not going to be the best choice for presentations because the resolution is a little bit low and text becomes a little bit more pixelated. But for watching videos, it more than suffices, and I do like the fact that there's built-in Wi-Fi, which is again the main reason why we're taking a closer look at this unit and makes it a little bit more different from past versions we've seen on the market. You can check out more details in the links down below, but for now this has been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews.